Okay, this morning we're talking to Regina McGinley, who is our historian-in-residence. Thanks for joining us, Regina.
Good morning.
I wonder, could you tell us a little bit about what the post of historian-in-residence involves?
Okay, well, I've been historian in residence since the end of October up until now, and as part of the programme, I have the main tenet of the programme is to research Helen Maybury Rowe, who was the first county librarian, and also Gertrude Lucy Franks, who was one of the women who rejuvenated the Irish Country Women's Association, the ICA. But also part of it is to do some outreach workshops with schools and other people in the community. So one of the workshops I did was a military archives genealogy workshop. So I was helping people find some records from their family members, and that was in Abbey Leak's library. And in Port Arlington Library then we worked with the Presentation Primary School kids from 3rd to 6th class for 4 weeks, and we did a local history workshop, and we were showing the kids how to do their own projects, because as a historian we can tell them all the information they want, but I think it's better to show them how to find the information, and it gets them excited about their local area then as well, and finding different sources and learning new things about where they live.
I have to say your enthusiasm for your subject always comes across. Can you tell us what drew you to history as a career?
When I was about 10 years old, where I lived in the middle of the Wicklow Mountains, a farmer had pulled up a big stone from his field, and it turned out to be a Bronze Age graveyard. And the remains from that are now in the National Museum. And when I was up there a few years ago and got to see it, and I was like, I was one of the first people to see that, which was very cool, like 3,000 odd years old. And also my family history. I had some family members who were in the Irish Revolution, they were part of the 1916 Rising, and all the way up to the Civil War and so on. So learning, I think hindsight is a great thing. As a child, you don't really understand the stories, but as I got older, I got more interested, and I went back to college to study history because of it. And I just got really interested in local history and kind of helping people learn about their area and so on. I just think it's fascinating.
So would that be one of your favourite parts of working as Laois Historian-in-Residence?
Local history, yeah, definitely. I'm not even from Laois, but I think Laois has so much history to offer that people don't realise is there, that's on their doorstep. Like the old fort in Port Laois was the first fort of the British Empire. Like, that's significant in history. And people walk by it every day just thinking it's a stone wall, you know? So it's really exciting when people learn that and learn the stories and realise the significance and kind of realise what's around them. And if you can get even one more person interested in history from telling them that story, that's my job done.
Definitely,
yeah.
Definitely. You have worked with an awful lot of young people since you started the position. You mentioned the Presentation Primary School here. Have you found there is an enthusiasm for the subject amongst young people still?
Definitely. Some of the questions have been fantastic. About women's history. You know, we didn't even touch on that subject too much, and they asked the questions, which is absolutely fantastic. And I don't know if it was the promotion around the Decade of Centenaries, which has been really good at promoting history within schools and local areas and TV and so on, or if it's just a greater want to know about history now. I don't know what's caused it, but some of the questions I've been asked are fantastic, and you can really see like a great interest from like a good half of the class, which is very different from when I went to school. Most people thought history was boring, you know. So it's exciting to see that happen.
That's great. That's good to know it's in safe hands coming up through the years. And what areas, you mentioned women's studies as one of the areas that sparks interest.
And the Titanic. I love the Titanic, every session. So we've had 6 sessions so far, and every single one of them they've asked about the Titanic. I don't know if it's because like it's been on TV or there's been something recently or whatever, but they all love the Titanic.
and we do have a local link to the Titanic.
Yeah, the carpets were made in Abbey Leak's. So, and I think even the teachers are surprised to hear that as well, having a local connection to the Titanic, you know. So like in a small little shed in the back of a cafe, or what's now a cafe, the carpets were made for the Titanic, and the kids are fascinated when they hear that too. I don't think they realise the local connection.
It's lovely to bring it to life for them like
Yeah,
that, isn't it? It
yeah,
makes it much
yeah.
realer. Since you started work, you've been working, as you said, on Helen Rowe, who was our first county librarian. Could you tell us a little bit more about her?
Helen Rowe, she's fascinating, and the more I learn about her, the more I admire the woman and the work that she's done. So she was born in Mountrath, County Laois. She was an only child to the town merchant. During World War One, herself and her mother were volunteer aid detachments, so they basically volunteered with the Order of St. John and the British Red Cross. And I've recently found out their house was the depot for collecting everything to be sent to the front lines. I've gotten some photos of them as well. And after that, she joined Trinity College as one of the first women to be in Trinity College and studied modern languages. With her degree in modern languages, she travelled Europe teaching and just learning about everything that she could. She had a really big fascination in medieval Irish art as well. And I think her time on the continent helped that grow. When she came back, she completed a master's in Trinity College. Again, fascinating for a woman of her time. She drove a Model T car. You can just picture her driving around in this fabulous Model T. And she became an assistant librarian to Hubert Butler up in Coolraine, County Derry, in the library. And he had a love for antiquities, for kind of the heritage and history. And she loved her county of Laois. So she brought that love back with her and was appointed the first county librarian in 1926. And she used her love for education and bringing education to the ordinary person. She ordered in books on gardening, engineering, crafts, anything that anyone was interested in. She ordered the books in for them. People who had no access to education, they could come to the library. And she specifically had children-only days, so a Wednesday and a Saturday morning were only for children. So they could come and enjoy the library in a time where children were kind of told to sit in the corner and be quiet. They had time to come in and look. She had a cabinet full of artefacts like Bronze Age daggers and like glass beads and so on. And she got them fascinated. And one of my favourite stories, she was travelling around doing her travelling lectures, and she went to the Bridgetine Convent in Mountrath. And she was in her Model T, took the battery out and used it to power a thing called a magic lantern, which had loads of slides of antiquities and Laois. Sitting in the classroom watching those slides was Ireland's first female archaeologist, Ellen Prendergast. And her dedication to her in a book written 1984, I think it was like a festschrift. It was a book of lectures and so on dedicated to Helen Rowe and the work that she's done. And Ellen Prendergast's lecture to her was just fascinating and reveals the woman she was. She just had a great sense of humour and a passion for teaching and for Laois, you know, and I can't wait to write the book on her.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
We'll be waiting with bated breath. You have written some blog posts about her, haven't you?
Yeah.
And we'll put a link to that on the video here if anybody wants
and there's
to
more on the
learn
way.
more about her. Brilliant.
Yeah.
We look forward to it. If, like Helen Rowe, you were to leave a body of work behind you that would benefit future historians, what area of history would you choose?
Women's history, the women of Laois. There are so many pioneering women of Laois that looked after communities. So Helen Rowe, she was also the president or the vice president of the Protestant Orphan Society. And there were orphans during her time, so they really looked after them. Lucy Franks, pioneering in rural women's education and showing them how to be self-sufficient and earn a living in an area in a time when people were emigrating to America. And she tried to stop that and show people they could stay at home, earn a living and not have to leave their homes. There's Angelico, who set up the Alexandra College from Melech. I've just recently learned of a lady who was part of the Irish Civil War. Her letters still survive, and she helped people hide in Iraq. There's no books written on them, there's no stories, and I really can't wait to get stuck into more women's history and Laois. There's Lady Emma de Vesey. She set up a baby linen society. So their tenants at the time couldn't afford to have clean clothes when they were going in to have a baby or having a baby at home. She provided them with soap, candles, oatmeal, fresh baby clothes, all for people who couldn't afford them. And at a time when that was unheard of, you know. So far I still haven't found a society like that yet, or anything to match it, and this was in the 1830s, so it's fascinating.
Sounds like you've got more than one book in you there waiting to come out.
Yeah.
Finally, I won't keep you much longer because I know you're about to be descended upon by another batch of school children. What advice would you give to any budding historians out there?
Read. Use your local library. You all know my face from before I even graduated from college. Like, reading is genuinely the best thing, and I've read since I can remember, sitting behind the sofa with my Enid Blytons, you know. Reading is the best thing you can do at all, and go to talks and go to lectures and get involved in your community. You can't learn about what's happening if you don't join in and see what's happening, you know. So definitely read and join heritage societies, go to talks, go to museums, and ask questions, mingle, you know. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's definitely the kind of advice we like to hear. Read every day.
Yeah.
Okay, Regina, we'll let you go, but thank you for joining us today.
Thanks a million.